not fail.
Hello, and welcome to Wake Up with Wendy, Discover the Magic of You. My name is Wendy Capland, and I am your host and guide into helping you figure out how to live your best life. Many people reach a time in their lives when they start to ask the question, is this it? Is this all there is? And I wonder if this has ever happened to you. If you are someone who is looking for something more, maybe you have a job that feels a little stale, or you've been doing the same thing day after day and you're getting a little bored, or maybe you've been laid off or afraid you might be soon. Many of us are realizing there must be something more and that we have more in us to give. That part of our life that doesn't feel quite satisfying enough, maybe you have a dream that you haven't yet explored, or a life path that you have yet to follow. It is never, never too late. Life paths can be many different things, spiritual, personal, or career-related. And this may be the perfect time in your life for you to explore what's next and to take a step forward. Isn't it time you reevaluated? And isn't it time you awakened the dreamer inside of you? It's never too late, and this show is all about you and helping you figure out your gifts and talents so you can figure out what's next for you. And let's see by listening to our guest today whether you get some inkling of what might be next for you by listening to his story. So today our guest is Don Arnoudse, and Don is an executive coach and partner with the Praemia Group. And as you listen to Don tell his story, think about what part of his story has some meaning for you. Because as you listen to Don, you might ask yourself, did he take a step along the way that you could take now? So let's welcome our guest, Don. Hi, Don.
Hi, Wendy.
Thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
So why don't we start off by just having you tell folks a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm going right back to the beginning.
Okay.
1948.
Uh-oh.
I was the first of 5 kids born to a second-generation Dutch immigrant family in western Michigan, and was raised in Michigan, went to Michigan State University, and then set off on my career. And in 1975, came to New Hampshire, working at the University of New Hampshire. Met my wife, Colleen, there. We married in 1981. We just celebrated 28 years of marriage, which is fabulous.
Boy, think of all the things I don't know about you.
That's right. And during that time, we had 2 wonderful kids who we raised in our Lexington home. We lived in Lexington for 20 years. And Josh is now 24 and a performance artist, filmmaker, improv comedian, actor, and musician. And I'll put a plug, he's on tour right now with his band No Eye Contact in New England.
Excellent. My
daughter, Sarah, 15 months younger, 23, graduated from UNH with an international affairs degree, and is now working in Cambridge helping international students come to the U.S. as exchange students.
Wow, isn't that great?
And this year we moved to Newburyport. So after 20 years in our home in Lexington, we are setting up a new home in Newburyport by the sea, and it's wonderful.
That's great.
And I have to admit, I was the one kind of digging in my heels, and my wife persuaded me to give it a try. We had this, since I'm a change consultant, we had this joke about Mr. Change doesn't like to change. But I'm glad I did, and I thank her for cheering me on. And so that's who I am personally.
Yes.
Professionally, I spent 10 years working in universities, and then in 1980...
Right out of college.
Right out of college, out of my master's degree at Michigan State.
Where'd you get your master's in?
My master's was education. My bachelor's was psychology. After starting in engineering, discovered I liked people more than I liked equations, so went into psychology. And there's been that thread of working with people my whole life, which I appreciate. I know we're going to get into that. But in 1980, I hung out my own shingle as a management consultant, and that was a big leap.
And what made you decide to do that?
I actually felt that I had sort of outgrown what I was doing in the university, and I just didn't feel I was having the kind of impact that I wanted to have, even though I loved working with students, people that were at that time just a little bit younger than me.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with the world of business. I had gone on some consulting assignments from the university and discovered I loved the world of business, and I felt at the time, still do, that business can have a real impact on people's lives, on the world. And so I jumped in, and that was 29 years ago, and
you're still in, and that
I'm
was
still in that field, basically.
And that was a big shift. So I just want to focus on this a little bit, because I think some people think if they go to school to be, I don't know, anything, doctor or electrician, that they should stay doing that the rest of their lives, right? Or if they don't, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like they aren't, couldn't make it work, or something wrong with them, or something like that. But many of us start with one thing and then just feel it's not quite right, or I can't imagine I'll do this for the rest of my life. Right? So you had one of those then, right?
I did, and I've had a number in my life, but for me it wasn't so much something was wrong with what I was doing, more a feeling that I'd finished it. You know, that there was, I'd been 10 years in the field, and rather than spending my life there, I felt like this is done. You know, I could keep doing it, but it's complete. And now what, so the question is what next? You know, so for me, you know, just 33 years old, I did something that a lot of people felt was courageous. To me, it felt it felt brave. I certainly had plenty of people telling me why I shouldn't do it.
Why you shouldn't hang out a shingle? And
why I shouldn't go on my own. You know, self-employment. Maybe you should get another degree. Maybe you should get some more experience. Maybe you should work for a consulting company first and build up your resume.
And you were married at that time, right?
Actually, I've got a little bit backwards. It was just before. When I returned from my honeymoon, I was in my new my new business. So it was just before I got married, the year before. And but I had a friend at the time who gave me advice that I now give to people, and he said, when you're contemplating this kind of leap, this kind of change, number one, be careful who you're talking to. And he said, you're talking to all the people who've never done it, and they're giving you all their reasons why not to do it. And it's the reasons that have kept them from doing what you're doing. So he says, talk to people who've done it. Talk to people who get excited about the possibility of it, rather than give you all the reasons why not.
That's good, Surround yourself, right? It's that thought about surrounding yourself with like-minded or thoughtful people. Okay, so?
Well, so that started a path that continues to the present day, you know, management consulting for a number of years, and then I discovered I had an entrepreneurial spark, so I started my own firms, 3 different ones, and the third one I was fortunate to be able to actually sell to a larger consulting firm, CSC Index, which was the whole business re-engineering phenomenon in the 90s, the firm that launched that. And after that, I took a year off. I'd loved that work, and I had burned out a bit. I mean, it was a lot of travel. My kids were growing. I didn't want to miss all that, so I said, you know, enough. And it was another time that I left a situation that a lot of people thought I was nuts. I mean, they're like,
you have a pattern of doing this.
You have a great job. You know, you're getting a lot of money. You're working with great clients. Why would you leave? And again, for me, it was, you know, I can stay, but it's finished. You know, I really did.
And how do you know? So you've said this twice now, and I'm wondering whether other people are wondering, am I done? You know, am I finished in the job that I have? So,
for me, it's a sense of starting to repeat myself. You know, it's a sense
been there, done that.
Well, it's one of the things I know about myself is that I'm very curious. I love that. It is one of my gifts, is being insatiably curious. So I want to be learning all the time. And although there's a comfort to having mastered something and then just doing it over, it's like doing last year's lesson plan because it worked well then. For me, I get bored. And for me, it is the, you know, done this before.
Well, that's the typical entrepreneurial, I don't know, profile, right? Get bored.
Now I'm a coach. I've been 8 years coaching. Haven't been bored a minute. And I think the thing that I've discovered in coaching is that it's all about the people I'm coaching, not necessarily their issues. Issues are interesting, but the people are fascinating.